10 reasons why everybody isn't doing this. In this episode, we're going to address the question, why didn't my advisor tell me about this? What's this? A max-funded indexed universal life insurance contract. This is episode 19 of 21 in a series called Secrets to a Tax-Free Retirement. I would advise that you watch the entire series. If you've already watched the other 18 previous episodes, congratulations. But I want to empower you and be able to understand, golly, why isn't everybody doing this? Because I've been asked that question a gazillion times, and I'm not exaggerating. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been a financial strategist and helping people plan for a safe retirement for more than 45 years. I wish I had a nickel for every time somebody has asked me the question, well, if this is so good, why isn't everybody doing this? So I finally created a list of 10 reasons why everybody isn't doing this. But it's interesting, back when I self-published my first book and then started going through about 5,000 copies a month, which I didn't know was bestseller status, it got the attention of Time Warner. And so Warner Business Books bought the rights to that book and also commissioned me to write several more. My third book became a New York Times Wall Street Journal #1 bestseller. Now my 11th book is titled The Laser Fund because it's my favorite vehicle. And in this book, I disclose the 10 reasons why everybody isn't doing this. But I'll never forget the day I was in a skyscraper in New York with Time Warner talking to the #1 business editor in the world, Mr. Rick Wolf. And he's the one that was so convinced, Doug, you have got to write a book someday titled, Why Didn't My Advisor Tell Me About This? Because he read my book and he was editor of many, many best-selling business books. And he says, Doug, your concept here is so incredible. Why doesn't everybody do this? And I said, because they don't know what they don't know. I'll repeat a statement, a quote that I put in my very first book. The worst form of ignorance is when we reject something that we know very little or nothing about. That's an anonymous quote. I don't know who made it, but all too often, sometimes advisor will say, well, I've never seen an insurance policy that does that. And so they think it doesn't exist. And it's like, really, that's your reasoning? Have you ever seen your brain? How do you know that exists? That's pretty stupid reasoning, okay? And so I put together the list of 10 reasons why everybody isn't doing this, and I'll go down through them with you right out of the book. As I share these reasons with you, if you would like a little bit more detail, at the end of this episode, I'll show you how you can get a free copy of this book. I'll send it to you. You pay shipping and handling $5.95. I'll pay for the book and I'll fire it out to you so you can learn even more details about this incredible instrument that I've used for more than 45 years to accumulate, access, and transfer my money totally tax-free. I just want you to know that people like Walt Disney, J.C. Penney, Ray Kroc, I think he was the originator of McDonald's. These types of people have used life insurance to be able to save their companies in dire circumstances or to be able to start their businesses. David Walker, who was the comptroller of the United States, the General Accountability Office, who resigned actually during the Obama administration because he wanted to tell the public the truth back in 2008 about how much serious trouble we were really in this country. We were on the verge of collapse. And they would not let him tell Americans how serious of trouble we were in, so he resigned. And he went out and he became a huge proponent of keeping your serious money in maximum funded insurance contracts for liquidity, safety, and predictable rates of return. So what do they know that maybe you don't know or that most Americans don't know? And why isn't everybody doing this? So in the book, in chapter 11, it's actually titled, Why Isn't Everybody Doing This? And I'll highlight the 10 reasons. Number 1 would be lack of awareness. People just don't know what they don't know. And it's because most advisors are not taught these concepts, because most advisors are selling stocks and bonds and mutual funds, and the brokerage firms make their money by them churning your money, and they continually earned fees by doing that. Or if you invest $500,000 and that $500,000 grows over 30 years to $8 million, like money does inside of an insurance contract, they continue to take out 1% a year on your money as it grows. I mean, that would be like buying a house and the realtor says, you know what? You can either pay me 6% one time on a $500,000 house, that'd be $30,000. And I don't make $30,000 when I set up a $500,000 insurance bucket, but I'm using this as an example. If the realtor says, I'll charge you 6% once, or you can pay me 1% of the value of this house as it goes up in value every year the rest of your life. Would you do that? But that's what people do with asset managers. They continue to pay 1% as it grows. And even though they say, oh, that's the cheapest, insurance policies are expensive. No, they're not. You might pay $20,000 in fees to set one up as the new money goes in, and that's it. If you have assets under management, at the end of the day, over 30 years, you'll pay about $1 million in fees. These are the most least expensive vehicles you can have, but it's just lack of awareness. The second reason is the path of least resistance. When you go through and study and watch these episodes, you'll understand that you have to structure it in accordance with IRS guidelines to be tax-free under sections 72E, 7702, and 101A, in compliance with tax citations, TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA. So you have to know what you're doing. If you bugger it up, you could trigger unnecessary tax. Most of these firms do not want to be held liable for that, so they don't even train their advisors on how to set it up. So they don't know what they don't know. They have lack of awareness. And that's why many of them say, well, I've never seen one that does that, because they've never been taught. I have trained over 3,000 CPAs, tax attorneys, financial advisors, and they would come through for 3 days, pay $6,000. They would sit there with their mouths open, because unfortunately, CPAs and tax attorneys do not need to know this tax-free vehicle to get their LLM degree, which is a master's in taxation. And so they would hire me to come and teach them advanced continuing education, and they would go, I didn't know that. The third reason is too much work. It takes quite a bit of time to set these up. This isn't a slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, what's your name, address, social security number, make out a check to this mutual fund type of a transaction. This is a transformational experience that takes a minimum of 5 years to comply with TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA so that you're grandfathered to have tax-free income. Many banks and credit unions don't even have the confidence that the in-house advisor is even going to be there in 5 years. So they don't want to sell any product that requires a relationship of somebody watching out for them. They want a transaction, you write out a check, and they're done. And so it's too much work for most firms. Number 4, selling clubs versus teaching the swing. See, it's not so much in the commodity. Sometimes people say, well, I chose the same company, I chose the same product, and then they come back 5-10 years later and their money is worth half as much when it should have doubled. And I go, let me see. And it takes me about 1 minute to look through and I go, who set this up? Well, our brother-in-law, our nephew. Didn't they use the same company you use? Didn't they use your same product? And I go, yeah, but they had no clue what they were doing. They were using the commodity product. They were not using the swing. It's like if you were going to be playing in a golf tournament and you had the choice of using a professional golfer like Phil Mickelson's swing, or you could use his clubs, what would you choose? Most financial advisors focus on the golf clubs, or buy this mutual fund, or buy this stock or bond, or gold or silver. It's not in the commodity, folks. It's in the strategy. Indexing is a strategy, not a commodity. The fifth reason is not as lucrative. As I've mentioned, sometimes they would rather make 1% on your money as it grows the rest of your life, and they just have this lifetime income. Whether you make money or not, they get to charge you 1%. Whereas the insurance contract, you might make a little bit more on the front end, but over the long run, would you rather pay $20,000 or would you rather pay $1 million in fees? So it's not as lucrative. The sixth reason, well, a lot of advisors are taught you should only have so much money in insurance. Folks, don't look at what it is, look at what it does. I will take as much insurance as I can get if it doesn't cost me anything net, because what I'm doing is I'm using the insurance for a living benefit. If your employer came to you and said, hey, we have some free benefits this year, we've got free life insurance, how much would you like? Now, most people say, wait a minute, it's free? I'll take as much as I can get. We don't object to the insurance benefits, we object to paying for it. If I can have my insurance paid for with a minuscule portion of interest that would otherwise go out the window in unnecessary income tax, I'll take as much as I can get because it's not really a cost. I make money at the end of the day. I'm earning 11, netting 10, and when I die, whatever is left behind blossoms and transfers tax-free. That doesn't sound like a cost to me. Let me go through the final reasons why everybody isn't doing this. The seventh reason is people say, well, isn't insurance too expensive? It gets really expensive as you get older. If you've watched these episodes, you will understand that when it's structured properly, the cost of the insurance goes down as you get older. It becomes cheaper as you get older. The policies I've had for 30 and 35 years cost 1/20th what they did when I started out with them, because the amount of insurance at risk to the insurance company is 1/20th what it was when I started, because I've self-insured. So this actually gets cheaper as you get older, but most people think, well, the older you are, the more expensive insurance is. Not if you structure it the way we teach in this book and with these strategies that I'm explaining in this course. The eighth reason that everybody isn't doing this, isn't this just for the wealthy? Well, yeah, the wealthy do this. This is where wealthy people put their money. This is how millionaires and billionaires manage their money. They keep their money inside of these tax-free vehicles, earning rates of return of 10, 20, 25% during the up years, but they don't lose when the markets go down, but they leverage. And so they will keep their serious cash liquid and safe in the insurance contracts. They will borrow out the money at 5% and keep earning 10, 15, and 20%. And they use the money as their own banker in buying real estate or investments or in working their business. But this is where they put their money. But you don't have to be wealthy. See, this knocks the socks off of a Roth. But a lot of CPAs say, well, golly, this laser fund, this max funded insurance contract is the rich man's Roth. And I snicker, well, yeah, but you don't have to be rich to own one. But see, the rich can't own a Roth. They make too much money. This has the benefits of a Roth and 4 additional benefits that I've explained in other episodes. And so this is not just for the wealthy. I can start this out for $500 a month. 35, 40 years ago, I started them on my children for $25 a month when they were born. It's not what you begin with that counts. It's what you end up with. The ninth reason, hardly anyone is doing this, right? Oh, so unless you follow the herd, you're uncomfortable. Actually, in my circles, hundreds of thousands of people are doing this. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what they don't know. They tune into CNBC, and who's funding CNBC? Tax revenuers. So they're going to tell you to put your money in the market in tax-deferred IRAs or 401ks. But really, savvy people are doing this. The circles I'm in, this is the preferred instrument, and so a lot of people are doing this. The 10th reason, if it's so good, why don't you call it an investment? I've explained that in previous episodes, because if it's an investment, the IRS basically says it's taxed sooner or later under this portion of the Internal Revenue Code. I don't want it to be deemed an investment. I want it to be tax-free under the insurance portion of the code, sections 72E, 7702, and 101A. Also, investments are generally subject to volatility. I want to have my money safe, and when the markets crash, I don't want to lose. So I'm okay. In fact, we have to have disclaimers. Life insurance, structured like I'm talking about, should not be purchased as an investment, and accordingly should not be purchased as an investment because it's not. It's an insurance contract, and that allows the tax-free accumulation, access, and transfer totally income tax-free. So this has been episode 19 of 21. I would recommend you watch this episode next on certain questions you ought to ask an advisor to see if they understand this. But if you would like to learn even more, I will gift you a free copy of this 300-page book, The Laser Fund. You just go to laserfund.com to claim your free copy. You pay $5.95 shipping and handling. I'll pay for the book. I'll send it out to you. There's also options to get the audio version and an 18-hour masterclass. But finish this free course, get the book, study, learn, watch, listen, and empower yourself for your brighter future.